MSMEs that we believe they've got a possibility of scaling and exporting. And we work with them one-on-one to give them the support and the access. I will show you one of such examples. The high potential pool, the objective there is given. And then that is one example. So that business, we took them as one of the high potential pool. We took them to an Inter-Africa Trade Fair in November 2021 to Durban. In December 2021, they got an international order. In March, they scaled up. They started supplying people in Pretoria and South Africa. And now they are shipping about 340 containers per year to countries such as Greece, US, UAE, Qatar, Saudi Arabia, and so forth. So those are the ones that we want as success stories. So if you know people that have got that potential and they've got the energy and the willingness to scale, we are not here to give people, you know, sometimes they say, you give them food in the mouth and they even ask you, please chew. So unfortunately, we cannot do that. So we are here to enable, and you've got people that have got energy and passion. We will support them. So we cannot take the credit from that gentleman, because there is more people that went to that place and they did not get customers. So yes, as much as we have opened the door for him, he did that. And we want people who are driven enough to do that for their businesses. So those are the other examples that we have had in the MSME space, especially getting them spaces in the malls. So in closing, finally, I know it's like, oh, this woman, is she ever going to finish? Finally, only 10 more slides as part of closing. What are the takeaways? So it's like a long story short. Hey, we don't listen to that. We are the media. We have actually heard one thing you have said, and we are holding on to that, and that's the one we want to ask. So what do you want to tell us? Those are the three things. Number one, collaboration across government and private sector to deliver value for Namibia. Whatever we are doing, we are an enabler. We cannot do anything without many other government departments. We cannot do anything without the support of the private sector. We cannot do anything without MSMEs that are energized and taking up anything. We cannot do anything without young people that want to take opportunities. We can start everything. We cannot do it if we don't have that. And therefore, everything that we may have achieved today or we will achieve, it means that the whole of Namibia need to come together. So that is the one thing I want. So whatever story we have told you today is because NIPDB working with somebody, and we made something happen. So that is the first story. The second story is definitely there is an increase in investor confidence. There is more sector diversification and interest in Namibia, which is evident in the pipeline and the reported FDI figures. So yes, investor confidence is increasing. It's more across sectors and not only energy. And definitely we are seeing there that FDI has started to pick up, and it's no longer at the time. And now what does that mean? Of course, jobs are coming because, yes, it's not today. That one, the figures that are coming, the impact on the economy to happen in a year, in a two. And sometimes you don't see, how did we get here? One day we will wake up and it's like, what happened to the unemployment? Where was the inequalities that was here? And then more targeted support offered to scalable MSMEs. New Year focus is startup and HPP. So the program on the high potential pool. We are going to drive startup and high potential pool because we believe that, yes, we need to touch the lives of 1,000 MSMEs, but we need to at least take one by one hands. And those ones that you're taking one by hand, they cannot be 1,000. You need to hold the hand of a few. Thank you to all of you, to our stakeholders. Thank you to the media for holding us accountable, for supporting us, for promoting Namibia. Please just know that every story that you are writing, you are not writing for Namibia, you are also writing for investors. And that story can either make investors come to Namibia or they can make them leave Namibia. So we want to make sure that you are always objective by holding us accountable, but also promoting Namibia, because you have to be our partners in promoting Namibia. Of course, without the support of the president, the prime minister, the deputy prime minister, the vice president, everybody in cabinet, and especially the political leadership, I can tell you we have got excellent support from the political leadership. Yes, we need to make sure that the support in the offices for us to deliver administratively. That's where our challenge is not at political will to say you have a platform. It's about delivering on a day-to-day decision. And that's where we need more support. Of course, private sector, they've come through, and many, many others, MSMEs and others that are always telling us, why are you guys not doing this? Thank you very much for all of that one. Time for Q&A.
Thank you. Okay, we're back on. Thank you, Menangula, for the presentation. We are about to start the Q&A, but before we do that, maybe a little break. So we're going to give away one of the last two hampers. Are you ready? Okay. I know a lot of information was shared, so I'm going to try and make it easy, as easy as it can be. Menangula spoke about the sectors that we are promoting as a country. There are actually 10. But I think for now, you can just give us the top 3. Well, not top 3, just give us 3 of the 10. Hence, at. Okay. Maybe we should ask for all 10. Maybe 5. Hence. Okay. Who was first? I don't know who was first. Okay. Mandisa. I think the mic is off.
Is it on?
Yes.
Mining.
Mining.
Agriculture. Tourism.
Oh, I said 3, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Oh, 5. Okay. 5 apparently. Sorry.
Transport and logistics.
Yes. One more.
And energy.
Thank you, Dino. Please come and get your hamper. Okay, so in the interest of time, I'll ask one the last question, and then we can do the Q&A, and then we can have something to eat afterwards. So the last question, I think it's quite easy. So we launched a one-stop center, investment one-stop center, last year in October. There are a number of entities that we identified to be partners or operators in that one-stop center because they're very central to the process of opening a business or an investment in Namibia. There's already a... Okay. Out of, I think there are now 9. Just mention 2 of the entities. 5. Huh? Okay, well, her hand was up first. Okay, 2. I said 2, right? Okay.
Ministry of Tourism. Yes.
Okay. Is she correct? Tourism?
I saw City of Windhoek there.
Yes, you did.
And then also Ministry of Home Affairs.
Yes.
Environment is also there. So, I said Ministry of Tourism.
Please come and get your hamper. You deserve it. Big smile. All right. Unfortunately, I have no more hampers left. I'm sorry. Next time we'll have maybe more. And now we open the floor for questions. Menangula said not only questions, also advice or any input is also welcome. We have a roving mic somewhere here at Tunohole and there at the back with Beverly. So if you can just raise your hands if you have a question, and then we'll come to you. So we have Jemima in the front. Is there any other question at the back? Just Jemima for now. Okay, Jemima. Oh, sorry, I think it's off.
Hello. Okay. I would also like to get a gift for my question because it's a very important question. But nonetheless. So, Ms. Nangula, you said that, so when all of the attraction, engagement, interest, all of that is passed, you know, I get to where there's a lead, where you like are basically engaged to the person. They are yet to put a ring on it. So, while in the pipeline, so you've gone to government, you have, you are now sorting out the licenses, and then you said while in the pipeline, you can still lose this investment. And so, can you please share with us, if this has happened, what are the main issues? Because obviously at this point, they should have been satisfied to at least 90%. So one would like to know what that 10% is that makes them lose interest overnight. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks, Jemima. Are there any other questions before? Okay, we have Stephen. Stephen here.
Good afternoon. Most of the time, the problem comes in the turnaround period, and that is perhaps where some people can get frustrated. Is there perhaps a time you suggest to have the government to do some training for government people, like say at BIPA and especially Home Affairs, because this is where the cogs are not working efficiently at times. So at least do you suggest training so that these people are sensitized to help you work smoothly in the process?
Okay.
Thank you.
Good question. Thank you very much. Do we have a third one, or can we tackle these two for now? I think Menangula? No, there are no more for now.
Right. Thank you very much. So the first one on why somebody will lose, and I think we have had issues before, or cases that we have heard before and even now, of investors that had an interest in Namibia and then they left. Because when you have got them in the lead status especially, so they have not made a final investment decision, so in the lead status they are still gathering information. So some of the information they are gathering, for example, is what type of incentives, and I will give you maybe that is a simpler example. So what are the type of incentives that we are going to get? And then, so when they are on the lead, they are talking to us, and maybe they are talking to Botswana. And then Botswana decided they have got a better incentive regime. Botswana and Namibia are very close to each other. The political stability is the same. And therefore, if Botswana's tax and so on is good, then they may as well go to Botswana, because the cost of doing business in Botswana is cheaper than the cost of doing business in Namibia. So that is one of the examples that you can lose them. So another example is just, yes, it takes long for the process to be completed, and maybe it's, for example, like the land that I've talked about, is they want access to land and we are just not making our land available, or it doesn't become available on time. Because sometimes, especially if we want to bring investment in the communal areas, and especially in areas under traditional authority, the cumbersome process of getting land with the traditional authority, with the land board, then there is a regional government, then there is a ministry there. You have to go to a process. You have found out that maybe one headman gave land to another person, then somebody else has given it to another person. And then during that process, then the person just decides, okay, because of these complications in the process, I'm going somewhere else. So that are some of the examples. So incentives, administration processes that are not working, I think are the main examples. And then, of course, it can look at other things, because if they were looking maybe at Namibia, and then they were thinking they want to acquire an existing enterprise, and the deal between them and that enterprise fell out, which is not a government item. It's not something caused by government, but that has happened. Then they can also pull out. Or, like I said, they came and they want procurement by government for some level of offtake. They are in the lead and they are working and they need a power purchase agreement or they need something else, and then they realize government is not going to make a commitment to buy goods from them, and therefore the market will become a challenge because the market of Namibia is not big enough. They don't have one large offtake, and therefore they cannot make it. So it's quite a number of reasons, but that is some of them. So looking at the training, yes, it's two things that we need to consider. It's training, but also like what we said, it's a process. And we are currently working with what we call a cabinet committee on trade and economic development and cabinet committee on treasury. They work together now as a joint committee, and that is the committee to which we are responsible. It's co-chaired by the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises and by the Director General of the National Planning Commission. So that committee then we many times take whatever challenges we find, we take to them and they propose solutions. So currently we have identified, for example, people that do something called labs, and how do we work that we can, for example, take a project into a room, bring everybody who is involved in that project into the room, and then have discussions as to what do we need to do to make this project work. So call in the next person. This project requires this from you. Why is it not happening? The person communicates, we find out what is the root cause, and then we address it. But then, of course, like you said, the other one is also then saying, you cannot continue operating in calling people in. At this one system, you have, at some point, you have to make sure that the system is working in such a manner that everything goes through. So while we are doing that, that's the way we have got the ease of doing business committee, so that at that committee, yes, sometimes it's training, but sometimes it's clarity of processes. You've got many people that are working, for example, in the process, and the clarity of saying, okay, what do I need to ask for? How do I need to ask for? That is what you kind of need to help the people understand. Why are we asking for A? Why are we not asking for D? Why is it taking long? So that communication and coming together and understanding, why is this urgent anyway? Just that sharing is what is happening in the policy committees and the ease of doing business committee. And then, of course, we will then identify which institutions are lagging behind and then have the various institutions. For example, if we have got a policy gap, the Ministry of Justice is busy working on what do we do in the interim to address the backlog, but in the long term to create capacity. So they have identified that one, and they are working with that cabinet committee to come up with interim measures while at the same time come up with long-term measures to address those challenges.
Okay, we'll give you a chance. Are there any other new questions before I give Stephen an opportunity? So she was that clear, huh? Okay, wonderful. Stephen, your follow-up. Thank you.
It's not actually a follow-up, it's something different. If I were in your position, I would know that there are two things that can either make or break investment in Namibia. That is energy and water. Those two areas are very critical. There's not enough water, there's not enough energy in Namibia. And every investment wants to come here in manufacturing, we look at those things, whether it's available or not. Right now we have a company that is in lithium processing. They are going to take their lithium to Abu Dhabi to process it there so that they can have the process done there, because they have been given better, incentives in water, taxes, and electricity is available. So they're taking their processes there, removing it from Namibia. So if I were you, I would first of all go to NamWater, go to the government, to NamPower. Do we have water? Because I have a feeling if we had this an affordable, available security of supply, we could even be able to get South African companies to come from South Africa to here, because we have security. We have everything. We have access to market, the same market proximity that they do have. So I think that would be my first stop. Have you done anything in that area? Thank you.
You have asked a very good closed question. So the answer to a closed question is yes. So you have summarized it well. I think I've talked a lot about energy on my slides, so I would definitely not want to talk more about energy, so it's obvious. Yes, water is one of the indicators. We have received water requests here and there, and especially in the agriculture. So water, I think the affordability of water has not been the major issues at this stage for investment. The availability and sufficiency of water is the challenge. So do we have enough water? And you know that government is talking about a desalination plant, and then we are saying that hopefully with the green hydrogen, with that one there will be desalination plant, so one day we will have more water from desalination plant than we can handle. But of course, in the interim, getting and pumping water from especially the coast to Namibia is challenging, but government is busy working on the water. We have had those conversations. And then, yes, mining, like I say, I think energy, I've talked a lot about that one. We even have a lot of potential investments in energy. We've got the Kudu gas project that government has now committed to supporting, to getting offtake locally and also regionally. So yes, we have identified those challenges and we are busy working on finding solutions.
Thank you. In you, there's another question from David.
Thank you. It's not really a question. I suppose I was going to make a statement, but you said you'd finished talking about energy, but I think we should go back to it because energy drives everything we do. One of the things that I think is a problem is that some of these major hurdles are oversimplified. So, for example, you know, it's not just a matter of just, oh, can we get cheaper energy? But the question is, what kind of energy, when and where? And I would say the same thing for the water as well. I'm very happy that you pointed out that it's the availability and not the price that's becoming an issue with the water. So I think one of the major issues that I'm seeing is that it's the same people that create the problem or where the problem exists that are being asked for solutions, and I think it should come from somewhere else, or at least allow some interrogation. And this is not a criticism to say the people don't understand what they're doing, but you kind of use the lens that you're socialized to create that and to look at the issue. So it would be nice to, you know, somebody say, well, okay, have you ever thought of that, and not just have it dismissed. One of the things that I touched, so that my colleagues in the energy sector don't get upset with me, is I'd move now to BEPA. I've had a personal experience where in going to get a good standing, I was told, no, you don't, you're not compliant. I was like, there's no way we have, bring us the proof. So that's the first thing. I would expect you to have the proof. You'd have seen all my payments. But what emanated, to keep the story short, was that there are 3 different sections within BEPA. And finally, when I got upset, and I'm sorry, I got upset and I asked, I was told, oh, it's probably downstairs in a box when you brought it, but that person is not at work today. That can't be good for an outside investor. I mean, I'm annoyed and I live here. I can't go anywhere. Well, I probably can. But you get the point I'm making, that I'm here. Now imagine somebody who is flown in, who has like a week or 5 days to turn around something, get back to their board or whatever with results, and are being told, oh, that person's not here, they're on leave. Can you imagine it happens this week? It's Easter. We're not going to see that person till the end of May or probably. So imagine me then flying back and the person's going to say, well, oh, but in Botswana we got, no, but the people in Botswana are responding, as you said, as you rightly pointed out. So let's just drive across. It's another 3 hours, we'll be there. So these are some of the things that I think that it would be nice to kind of like shake some other trees, if I can put it that way. And I do know we're a desert country, but there's still some trees we can shake and explore that. So yeah, but by the way, congrats, well done. Thank you.
Want to add something? Sure.
Quickly. So I believe BEPA is going to be one of the entities that will be in the one-stop shop. Anyway, so BEPA is there. But when is that? So you said it is not yet functional. So when can BEPA now, like David is saying, get off the plane, get into a lefa, come right here, and get all of these things done under one roof.
I think we can tackle those two questions, and then you have a question at the back, and then we'll take yours as the last one. Thank you.
So that one will be the last one.
Yes.
Okay, let's just take it.
Okay, sure. Please ask your question.
Sorry, your name? Maggie.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question actually.
Is it on?
Okay. Namibia being a country with such vast resources, especially when it comes to mining and stuff, you know. So my thinking around this, or actually a question is, why is it that the country itself owns such a little portion of the resources, you know, when it comes to the mining, the fisheries, the whatever is being found here? Normally the government has a little stake into it, and the rest of it goes out to investors. So how do you advise the government on that, and what's your take on that? And I mean, if we have to retain the finances or within the country, how would we work on that? Does that make sense? Yeah, okay.
Right, thank you very much. So I think then, of course, looking at Jemima and David's questions together, so if you look at it, I think what I hear you from kind of energy is what they say, you cannot solve a problem with the same mindset that created it or something like that. And especially if you are somewhere too much involved in the challenge, it becomes very, very challenging for you to find answers. And I think the Minister of Mines and Energy and the Minister of Finance and Public Enterprises are working together to see how can they get NamPower to work more with, yes, ECB, but also with other entities in order to find the solution. So we have had conversation. Like I said, we have spent a lot of time on energy since we got in office, because we agree with you, it's the one enabler that we need to touch on. We have spent a lot of time on it. We have not really hired specialists. We have only hired 2 specialists. The first one we hired was on energy, because we need to spend a lot of time on energy. The other one that we have hired is to deal with agriculture. So maybe if you ask me, then 2 sectors, maybe those are the ones, because that's where we have got specialists for now. But it's because mining, we are relying a lot on the Ministry of Mining experts there. So on energy, I agree with you, and there's quite a number of challenges there. But we are having the conversations, and hopefully soon the minister will come up with whatever he has determined as what they call, what do they call the minister's 2018 determination was the last one that is there. And we kind of need to question, it's 2018, a lot has happened. Can the minister make a new determination? And I think in making that decision, the minister is trying to consult widely. So that is, I think, what one can put on energy, that a lot is going on there. Yes, I think things move slower than I would like them to, and that's why I've got my 1,000 days, and it's almost like, 1,000 days are moving, and things are moving a little bit slower than I would have liked to see them, and than you would like to see them. Whether they are human or they are processes or they are whatever, it's many other things that we can interpret. But the good thing, like I say, is political will is there, the support is there. We need to push administratively. And I think that is where I'm finding a bit of challenge, is in the administrative implementation that one needs to push. That is where we have got challenges there to make things happen. So the other one that we talked about is, for example, a BIPA. So, and yes, we can go into various cases, and we can pick on BIPA, we can pick on who, and we can pick on even NIPDB for that matter. We sit here and we are trying to do our best, but we still go somewhere and say, is it that you don't have capacity because MSMEs are coming to you and you are turning them away? So I think that capacity sometimes is what we need to address, of course. And capacity is not only capacity in having enough, it's about processes, it's about people, and it's about systems. And sometimes what we have found out is, yes, public enterprises, as much as the public sector is huge, there is still capacity in terms of people some critical positions are still not filled, and for example, they are frozen. There are processes that still need to be redesigned, and I think that's actually probably one of the biggest areas is for us to redesign our processes so that they flow. So when we come to administrative, is it a people matter? Yes, sometimes it's a people matter because we don't have enough people. Sometimes it's people matter because we don't have the right people, and whether they are not right because they are not motivated or what is the other reason, but I think we do have quite a number of people that are doing a brilliant job, but we do have a number of people that are not in the right places. So that is the people. And then, like I said, the processes. Just do we have documented processes? Do I know what goes to who whenever? Do I know what is under my table? And do I take it out every day? That processes, I think, like every other entity, you need to redefine and document your processes. I think it's something that we need to do in government, in various entities. And then, of course, and I think it's something that we have also identified with us. When we came in office, we know we were running all over the place, and we say, we will die of work, and we will not serve people well. So as we work, we need to start documenting our processes. So we are doing that together. And then it's systems. So you want to have a system in place, and IT must work for us. And then you want to put IT in. Do we have a budget for that IT? So yes, government, I think, is working on a digitalization campaign that we see being driven by of course, by the Office of the Prime Minister, because they are responsible. But then, of course, Ministry of ICT works there. Like I said, things don't go as fast as we need them. But looking at that all, people, processes, systems, I think we have got a gap at all that level. And once you've got a gap at all of that level, your delivery becomes a challenge. And we need to kind of tackle them one by one. And like I said, it's not a BIPA issue. It's all of us. And yes, private sector have got it, but they are not responsible to all of us. I'm answering for the public sector. And I think in all institutions, starting with us, we need to make sure that we've got the right people in the right people. They are held accountable. We have got meritocracy in the selection and in dealing. We've got performance management system. We need to do that. And then we have got the right processes that are documented, that are clear. We need to do that. We have got systems that are supporting people, because they say if a system is not working most of the time, then maybe it's not the people, maybe it's the system. So how do we change the system so that it can support the people to deliver? And that is a challenge. So specifically coming to the one-stop center, that is one of the reasons why it's not in place. So it is actually in place because if our investors want support from especially the cubicle for Home Affairs, it's fully functional. Please do not come there if you are not one of our registered investors. We do not want line there. We do not serve the public of saying you can just, I'm going to go to, no. And that's why we only do work permit and work visa. So we are serving investors, whether they are Namibian or others, that are looking for skills. And it's investors that qualify for registration with us. And there's a form online that you can complete if you are an investor. So that one is working. If you want support, institutions like BIPA and others, they've given us a focal person because they are saying we don't have the human resource to have somebody sit at NIPDB full time. Or we can give you a person, but then we don't have the system for that person to be connected to our system and to work virtually. That is one of the challenges. So that is why it's not fully implemented, but we are making it work. And then at this stage now, the cabinet committee that we report, they kind of tell us, what do you need? We go and report to them, and they say, how do we work with government to make sure that we give you what we need? So long answer to that question. Oh yeah, so the last question. Sorry. Hey, maybe it's because I do not want to answer the last question. Because it's like, why do Namibia own so much little of our natural resource? First, I was going to get away by saying, I'm in investment promotion, please ask the people that, and then you say, what are your views? And the point is this Nangula's views or is it NIPDB views? I think as NIPDB, it's very, very important to make sure that we are here to drive government policy and we look at that one. As Nangula's views, I can catch you during lunch so that I can give you my personal views because that one is important to look at it, and it's important, again, I say, We are here as NIPDB. Government has got a policy that they put in place. We are here to support and implement government policy. We have got an economy which is a mixed economy. And I think, of course, what you need to ask yourself is, if you are looking for a resource, what do you want? And I think that is what we need to ask ourselves as Namibians. Before you go to ownership, is it ownership that you want? Find the root cause. I don't think it's ownership that you want. It is jobs that you want. It is the benefit that comes. What are the various ways of getting that? Do you get it through ownership, in which case you earn dividends? Or do you get it through employment? Or do you get it through plugging your businesses into those opportunities? How do you get what you want? And I think that is the question we need to ask ourselves. But many times we tell government, why do you have 10% and not 50%? So the point is, why do we need 50%? Why not 70? Why not 100? Why ABCD? And the question then is it really ownership that we want, or is it the benefit of the outflow from that one? Once you have determined that one, then we can have a conversation of saying, okay, let's have a conversation and saying, forget about ownership. Let's rather talk about what we need as Namibia, and then we go and negotiate at the table to get what we need. If it can be delivered through ownership, so be it. If it can be delivered through a representation at board level, so be it. If it can be delivered through taxes, so be it. So what is it what you need, and what is the best way that we can deliver it? I think those are the questions that we need to ask, and that is what we need to get to as a nation. Because sometimes it's easy, me that is sitting out there, to say, why are you not moving it? And then you come closer and you find out maybe that's not the right answer. So I normally tell people around us, let us learn to start asking questions before we make statements, because when you ask questions, you might find out that the statement and position that you took is probably a little bit uninformed, and the more information you have, the more informed you become, and the better solution you can provide. And I think we need a dialogue before I can give a view as to the best way to do that. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Menangola. Thank you to all the colleagues for accepting our invitation for this media engagement. And I hope that it was as valuable for you and insightful for you. And let's see this as a beginning of a long-term conversation. One of the ways that we endeavor to serve is to be accessible at all times and to be open to those questions. Menangola said, please hold us accountable. So if you have any questions, please feel free to get in touch with us. And if you feel that we're not accessible, that's also part of the feedback that we require from you so we can serve you better. And I think on that note, I will officially close the session by asking two things, maybe asking one thing. Before we enjoy the lovely lunch outside, if we can just gather in front of the stage so that we can take a group photo, and then thereafter we invite you to join us for something to eat and something to drink outside. Yes, and then of course, before you leave, please make sure that you grab a copy of our annual report and read it at your own leisure. It will also be on our website. If you have any questions out of that, like I said, we are accessible and we are here to serve you. Thank you very much. Can we just gather around here for a photo? I hope Fidel is in the room somewhere. Thank you.